Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So a song came out in the mid to late 80s. It was called When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going. And when you look at that title, you could read it two ways, meaning things are tough, so it's time to dig in, or things are tough, I'm just going to run and go the other way, or get going. It's all about resilience, being able to deal with things that come in your way, little speed bumps, I call them in life, not a mountain, speed bump. How do you get to that point? We're going to talk about resilience today. She is the woman behind Essential Blessings. She is the ear to hear what you got going on. She can help your life move forward, coach you along the way. Shay Johnson joins us again today. Hi, how's everything going with you?
Good, Steve. How are you?
I'm good because you're back on the swing.
Yes, I'm back home. We had a good trip, though. It was nice, but I think we're all happy to be back home.
Awesome. Yeah, it just happened to be the swing where you do podcasts from, and I think it's so tranquil, just like hanging out on the swing and just like two people talking. Digression here, but I'm curious. Have you thought deeply on that swing in the past? Maybe you got something going on. You sit there and just like, yeah, I'm going to go on the swing. I'm going to think.
Yeah, I remember being out here and seeing a few butterflies, and I thought about the angels that have passed on, and it led me to look across the yard at this shiny object. And when I got over there, it was a turtle stuck in the dirt. So I pulled the turtle out and put it in a bucket to wash it, and went to go read up on it and found out that you can't keep those turtles for pets. And but it was really interesting that the thing that I read on Google had to do with being in touch with the universe. And I did feel like that because the turtle was stuck. And had I not been there to get it out of there, it would, who knows what would have happened. But when I came back for the turtle, I had put a piece of lettuce in the bucket. But when I came back, it was gone and tipped over. And I was just like, oh, I was kind of sad. But at the same time, you're not supposed to keep those turtles. So I just thought of it as I was where I needed to be to get that turtle from whatever was going on, because it couldn't move.
Which is life. I believe people are put in your life, excuse me, for a reason. You were put in that turtle's life for a reason.
Yeah. The resilience of life, I think, bounces you back to where you need to be, no matter if you're human, animal, insect, whatever. I think that somehow, some way, you just bounce back to where you need to be.
How do you get to that point where you're able to? And I'll share my journey in a second because I get it, but I'd love to hear your input. Like when things shake you, rattle you, how do you find the strength to move it forward?
I think being that I was shaken and rattled as a child, being alone a lot, and then having my grandmother there to put that wisdom in me. She always taught me how to not really show what you're going through, and to call on God, universe. I mean, she had a whole, her soul was just intertwined with God and the universe, and how she could cook so well. But she taught me through the things that I was going through that if I just held on to my divine power, that I could make it through. And I did have some situations in life that I had to listen to what she told me, and I had to think about it and pray and listen to the answers. And otherwise I would have failed and I wouldn't have kept going. So that was how I got my strength, was thinking about what grandma said. And both of my grandmothers were, into church, but when we weren't, it was always just hold on to your hope and faith after praying, and things bounce back to where they're supposed to be. So after going through so much in life, it teaches you to be resilient.
That's the point I was going to get to, is you have to go through challenges to realize that, wait, I got it. Because you can be shaken, moved, like you feel like you can't go on, you can't figure this out. But then when you look back, I'm like, how'd I do that? How did I pull that one off? Wow, I got past that. Could be a medical thing. Wow, that was easier than I thought. It's almost as if it's like gives you a little bit of a superpower every single time, where you just feel I'm a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. But I think it comes back to having faith, whatever faith works for you, whether it's faith in yourself, the universe, God, spirituality, whatever it is, it's something that you can tap into. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, you there's no need in having this hope and praying to your divine entity and you don't have faith. You have to have your faith there, even if it's just a smidget. You got to have that faith, and that's when you're able to see. You can see miracles.
How do you get to the point where you're solid like that? Because when you're on the other side and everything rocks you, littlest thing, oh God, I can't believe that. Then I've got that going on. That just happened. And it's almost like you're in a tornado of stress and anxiety. That, and then there's that, then there's that, then there's that. When you get to the other side of that, I've adopted this mantra. Nothing surprises me.
Right.
Used to be the other way around. Everything would, like, oh, I can't believe a little, worry about things you don't even need to worry about now. It's like nothing, like, really? All right, we'll take care of that. We'll deal with that, whatever it might be. Nothing surprises me. I don't know. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, I guess I'm more prepared for life. I don't know.
Fair. I mean, you've seen things, you've seen a lot. So how can things continue to surprise you when you've seen a whole lot? Sometimes you are put in a situation that you just need to sit and maybe read, educate your mind, but just don't do anything. For instance, I love to roller skate, and I went roller skating this day. It was when my 21-year-old was 2, and a girl was getting ready to fall, and I was like super small at that time, and she grabbed a hold of me. And instead of me just falling with her, like, oh, we're going down, I struggled to get her off of me. And because of that, when we fell, my ankle hit the wheel of my skate and I got a tib-fib fracture.
Ooh.
And I felt it. And when I was in the hospital was filled to capacity. I was on the side on a gurney because there was just other people on the sides and the rooms were filled. And I heard to just be still, that I needed to rest and just take care of my daughter and be at home. And when I asked the nurse how long would it be for me to walk again, and she said 4 to 6 months. And I was like, and you know what I kept thinking is, I won't be able to skate. But anyway, during that time, I mean, it was very difficult having a 2-year-old potty training and you know, the pain of a broke leg is like worse than labor. I mean, the ligaments coming back together and the bones healing, the more it heals, the worse it hurts. So that's how I had to think of it. I had to think of it's healing, it's healing, it's healing. But in all of that, when I heard that I needed to be still, that's what I did. And I had to accept that this leg needed to heal. I needed to continue to feed my brain by reading. And I had to be there on one leg for my 2-year-old. And that brings about a lot of resilience. So and that's just one situation. But when you go through different things, then you're able to come out of it by way of learning from your last thing, episode, whatever you want to call it. That's where you build that resilience, because you know there's a way to bounce back.
Sometimes you don't realize it. In my journey, there was a point, and I'm talking only in the last 5 years. Some friends had said to me, "How are you doing this? How are you getting through this?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm just moving forward." Like, remember Finding Nemo, Dory?
Yes.
And it was like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. It's like, that's how I look at it. Just keep swimming. You know, why do you want to stop? Because if you stop swimming, you're not moving forward. And then you could get caught up in the current and other things. If you just focus and keep moving forward. But I think it definitely goes back to being able to trust in yourself. And talking to a lot of people, I find that a lot of us don't do that. We don't think we have our own back, but we really do, more than anybody else. When it comes down to it, nobody's going to treat you better than you.
Right.
Doesn't matter who you're with, what partner you have, any situation. Nobody's going to care about you more than you. And there are some times where we don't care enough about ourselves with self-care and all of that. But we all know the answers. We just don't listen to ourselves.
That's why it's good to get your story out, realize those stories that you have tucked away because you didn't like it, or it was shameful, or it was hurtful, or whatever it is. Get it out, whether it's on a journal, whether you're speaking to me or someone else.
Yeah.
Just get that story out and realize what you grew from that story, and that will be empowering to you. And then you can move on and release it. You don't have to bother with that story again unless you have great lessons that you can teach someone else.
That's a great point. It really is. Even if you take an evening, it's a short story. You encapsulate it. We're not doing a novel here. Write it down. Or pick a part of your life that was challenging and how you got through it, and look at it through the eyes of you as you look at your story. I love hearing people's stories. I really do. I learn from them. I know that it helps others to tell their story. Everybody's got a story. We've had multiple stories. It's pretty powerful when you realize where you came from.
Right.
And you don't realize it until you share it. Even if you're sharing it with yourself and you're writing it down, by the way, write it down. Don't type it. There's scientifically proven that the connection from here to here, the mind to the hand, definitely makes a bigger difference than if you type it.
Right. And you will be so surprised at the thoughts that come to your head about the things that you learn from that story, because it has everything to do with where you are today.
Yep. You're right. You're right. And I don't realize it until somebody like you says that. And then I think about it. Like, I always wanted to be in broadcasting, always wanted to be on the radio since I was like 9 years old. I would walk around with a radio in my ear 24/7. I run out of batteries, I'd freak out. Need new batteries, need new batteries. And that turned into me being a geek and building a mixer so I could make tapes. I'd have to borrow my sister's turntable without her permission. That didn't go well. But I needed two. I want to be a DJ. But I taught myself electronics. I made a mixer because I wanted it so bad. I didn't even have a microphone. I opened up a cassette deck, took it apart, took out the microphone so I'd have a microphone. All good. And I got a job at 17 by doing that. But I don't realize I'm in a studio now, decades later, many, in an office building. Every wire here, I wired myself, just the way I like it, just the way I want it. I know where everything is. Anything breaks, I'll fix it in 5 seconds. But I don't make that connection until I think about my story, how that was me when I was 12, and that's me now. It's like I'm the same. Nothing has changed. It's kind of weird when you think about it, but I don't think about it until somebody like you says, what's your story? Look at your story. Well, how you got from point A to point B to point G to Z. There's a lot of synchronicity in there when you look at the story.
Right.
For you, I mean, you shared the challenge of the broken leg. What are some of the other challenges that you've been through that kind of prove to you that you have pretty solid resilience?
There's several. However, if I just think about most recently, I would say it was my husband's death and having to tell my 3 youngest children that he had passed away once they got home, and didn't realize what was going on, but that his car was there and he wasn't there. And it was the time that I knew it was the day that I was going to have to tell them that he had passed on. So I think that was the most recent hardest thing.
So sorry.
And they keep me resilient. I think we keep each other just going. Just they definitely keep me going because kids are resilient anyways. But just having to take care of them and be there for them keeps me strong to where I'm able to just continue on. And then we did get therapy, all of us did, and I found out certain things that the kids were like thinking, like they thought that if something happened to me that they would get split up, and I didn't have a clue that that's where their thoughts were going. So I was really grateful to have that therapy involved with them. But they don't give me that sadness to where I feel sad because they feel sad. I think they're just pretty resilient, and they keep going. They keep going. We believe in our faith that we are sealed for all of eternity. We went to the temple and did that, and that helps keep our hopes, and we feel his spirit in our home pretty well. So we're doing okay. It's been 2 years.
Did I hear you say that you feel his spirit in your home?
Yeah. He painted a lot of paintings. When my 12-year-old was 2, I went to back home for a funeral, and he just prayed about what should he do with the other kids, and it was to paint. And he ended up painting all these paintings. He taught himself. I was like in shock that they're all around our home. So that's one of the things that keep his spirit alive in our home. That's just one.
I believe it very clearly. Excuse me. My mom passed 5 years ago, and I feel I have a closer, and we had a fine relationship. I feel I have a closer relationship with her now. I can't even explain it. And when I ask for signs, I get them, and they're very specific. Very. And if if you say, "Hey, a butterfly went by," and that supports you, that's wonderful. I go deeper. I ask for specific signs, and I get them. I don't overdo it. I want to,
Right.
don't want to bother you, but sometimes when you need some reassurance, um, I'll get those signs, and I know that she's around. Like I just feel it. I feel it. So
And I think too, when well, for us, if we're sad, then his spirit it's not dwelling with us. But when we continue on, that's when we feel it most. And those triggers come, of course, but
sure.
they go
Yeah.
away.
I can only suggest from my experience, ask for signs and ask for them to be specific. And you got to be aware. You got to be open to it. You're going to get them. if that's what you want, if that's what supports you. I remember the first time, it was almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I was going through a challenge, and I vibed her the night before. The next morning, and I had a meeting, and it was going to be very impactful. And I'm like, send me a sign, show me it's going to be okay. Please, just, let me know you're watching. And I get my car, go to this meeting, never forget, 9:22 a.m., pull in the parking lot. I'm like, well, all right, here we go. And I look down at my console to my energy drink, and the expiration date was her birthday. So, people can say, well, all right, that's a 1 in 365 chance. All right. Okay, I get that. And a friend of mine
I'll
did.
Take it. I'll take it. I don't care.
A friend of mine reframed it, and he was, that person that said it's a 1/365. I'm like, all right, but that's mine. But he said, what are the chances that when you needed that sign, that you look down? Who looks at an expiration date in a container in your console? We just drink it and throw it out. That opened my eyes like, she wanted me to see it somehow. And I had to look down. I don't know what it was. And that was the first. That was the first of many that have come along. I could write a book. It's and very helpful and specific. So to anybody, if you're looking for a sign, ask for it, make it specific, be open to finding it. And if that helps you in your resilience or whatever, it's helped me, because I know I have faith in myself, but I know, she's watching, and that could be your God. Ask for a sign, whatever it might be. I look at it this way: can't hurt. It can't hurt.
Right.
How do we connect with you? If somebody, is going through challenges, wants to up their resilience, their faith, just needs to unpack some of this stuff in terms of what you can help with, how do they find you?
You can sign up with me at www.myessentials.com. You can become social with me at Shay Madison Johnson on Facebook. And on YouTube and Instagram, it's called Shay Marie EHE, standing for Entrepreneurial Household Executive.
Love it. I'm going to manifest now. I'm in between houses. When the right one shows up, not a great time to buy inventory and everything, it will have a swing.
Yes.
There's something
there.
There's something about it. So peaceful, and just there's something there. I don't know. It's like rocking a baby. I don't know. Thank you so much for today. Thanks for being there. And and we got a dog too. Love it. Awesome. Shay, thanks so much. We'll catch up soon. Okay.
Okay. See you.
Thanks,
listeners. Thanks, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.